Good morning. I've got to admit, as I'm standing up here to talk about us launching the capital campaign, I'm feeling kind of nervous, but it's a good kind of nervous. It's a kind of nervous like you feel as a kid on Christmas Eve. When there's been a build-up, there's been anticipation of a thing that's going to happen, and now the moment's here. There's been a sense, I think, at this church for a very long time that we are moving, that we are building towards something. I have felt momentum gathering, and it's just, David Haley once said that he just felt like our church was just getting ready to bust wide open. And now here we are. The moment has come when we're finally prepared to act on that momentum. When I walk through this hallway and I see these portraits out here of these ladies who were among some of the founding members of our church, and I wonder what their experience must have been like. JB directed me to a little book that's in our library. It's got a little bit about our church history in it, and I was reading a little bit this morning, and just to think about then there being no church here, but just a very small number of people, a small group of people felt led by God to do something, to step out and to act. I wonder when they did so back in 1949 if they ever imagined, what our church has become. Just I think there were 11 charter members, just 11. They brought what little bit they had, and they planted a seed, and it's grown. Reading through the history, it's some of you may remember. There's like a picture on this. It's the little white building. There's a picture out here in this hallway of this building. It was the first building, surrounded by pine trees. And then not long after that, they outgrew this building, and they built a sanctuary, which is now Hood Hall. And then not long after that, they added Sunday school classrooms. And then the need came where, that couldn't accommodate what the church was doing anymore. And so this beautiful sanctuary where we worship today was built. So it's a history of a church that's always been moving. It's from the very time it began. It's always had momentum that's been growing, that's been changing, that's been evolving, it's been responding to an invitation that's been given by God. And every generation, it seems, in this church has been issued a challenge to do that and has responded to that challenge. And now it's our turn. And that's really, really exciting. When the pastor first came here, I remember his first sermon was called Bring Your Lunch. And it was... he expounded on the story of Jesus feeding the multitude. And then ironically, about a year later, Reverend Greg Jinks came to introduce the Zoe ministry to us. And he preached on that same text, Jesus feeding the multitude. And it's kind of become a theme for our church about, if we just bring just our little bit, Jesus can take it and multiply it beyond our wildest imaginations. A few weeks ago in a meeting, Carl shared with us the story of Jesus walking on the water and Peter walking out to meet him. And I thought about something that Greg Jinks said in his sermon. He said that Jesus is inviting us to be a part of the miracle. Obviously, when Jesus fed the multitude, he could have done it without the boy and the loaves and fishes. And Jesus walked on the water without Peter. He could do that all independent of his followers, but he invites his followers to be a part of what he's doing. I think that's really pretty cool. I think that's what we're being invited to do right now. We feel like God is leading us to move and to grow just like we always have. We're on the brink of doing this really awesome thing. Ephesians 3:20 says that God is able to do immeasurably more than we could ever ask or imagine. And I think that in years to come, when we look back at this time in the life of our church, I think we're going to see that God is going to do exactly that. He's going to do so much more than we can ask or imagine, and not just in our building project, but we're going to look back at this moment in the life of our church and reflect on it as a time when we could see God's hand at work in our lives as individuals, when we could see it as a time when our own individual discipleship became deeper and stronger because we answered God's invitation to join in the miracle and that we stepped out in faith. Thank you.